Your thoughts and your concerns, if you have any, over the hiring of John Bolton.
I would say for the military, I have 3 words: sharpen your swords.
Joe writes in part this. He calls the appointment of John Bolton a fitting conclusion to the failures of conservatism.
There are a number of Bush administration former officials who are very concerned about this, frankly, because John Bolton was basically somebody who would burn the house down.
In a series of meetings, John Bolton was at the end in the afternoon, and I remember saying, so no WMD likely to be found? And he said, no.
You know, it would be like if FDR hired only radio personalities.
He's going to be the first person in the president's era on national security and the last person in the president's era on national security.
I think the president is assembling a war cabinet.
John Bolton may have a very fuzzy mustache, but he's got extremely sharp elbows.
Mr. President, would you still like to testify to Special Counsel Robert Mueller, sir? Thank you. Sure.
The president believes that he can go in and explain to Mueller that he has done nothing wrong, but Dowd thought it could be a perjury trap and there was no upside to it.
After we had been intimate, he tried to pay me.
The fact of the payment of hush money is a troubling trend, and I think that could even spill over into the Robert Mueller investigation.
Karen wants to be able to defend herself in her own words, in her own voice.
Has anyone from President Trump's camp reached out to her in recent weeks?
Not only is the answer to that no, nobody from American media has reached out.
He's concerned about being personally embarrassed, and he's taking our country along for the ride. It is just Friday. We made it, but who knows what happens Saturday because Stormy is on Sunday. We're going to go to final thoughts now on this incredible morning, the day after the National Security Advisor was fired. New National Security Advisor has been hired, John Bolton. And before that, the attorney for the president's Russia defense also left the White House. I will just say that Saturday doesn't bode to be a very boring, easy day for anybody in the news business, because my gut is Willie Geist that the president is trying to deflect from Sunday's big storm. Stormy Daniels on 60 Minutes.
Well, with all the news you just laid out and all the people we've heard from today talk about John Bolton, I'm going to yield my final thoughts to Richard Haass, the president of the Council on Foreign Relations. He writes on Twitter earlier this morning, Donald Trump now set for war on 3 fronts: political versus Bob Mueller, economic versus China and others on trade, and actual versus Iran and North Korea. Richard writes, this is the most perilous moment in modern American history, and it has been largely brought about by ourselves, not by events.
John Heilman.
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
I am, and so is Ambassador Michael McFaul, Heidi. It has been stunning to hear from national security experts, former ambassadors, people with experience on the world stage, and secrets about our strategic alliances who are visibly disturbed by the events of the past 24 hours.
And many of them Republicans, because many of these advisors they're bringing in have been on the fringes. But I also want to pivot to Sunday, Mika. We will all be watching. I want to remind everyone this is not about Donald Trump's extramarital affairs. We all knew about that going into it. It is how the women were treated, whether they were pressured, intimidated, and in one case, maybe even physically threatened.
I mentioned a few hours ago during our coverage that the president has massive relationships problems. He has a problem with his relationship with women. He has a problem with his relationship with Vladimir Putin, his relationship with Russia. He has a problem with his relationship with Bob Mueller, and he has a problem with his relationships with the inner circle inside the White House, even the top members of his team. He can't keep a national security advisor for a year. He can't keep a national security advisor for months. He can't keep the leaks from coming out of his White House even hours after his massive fail on the phone with Vladimir Putin. These are perilous times. That does it for us this morning.